as we move towards the end of this eventful year, 2024, I'd like to thank, as the Commonwealth General Secretary of the Commonwealth Disabled People's Forum, I would like to thank all our members and supporters for this, helping us through the year. We've had an eventful and productive year. I'd like to thank you for your support and for spreading the word. We are fighting for the full implementation of disabled people's rights across the whole of the 56 countries of the Commonwealth, 1/3 of the world's population. And we are particularly keen that the 430 million disabled people who live in those 56 countries begin to see their rights being implemented. All but one of our 56 countries, that is Tonga, have now ratified the UN CRPD, UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. This means from the day that the country ratifies it, certain rights should be available to disabled people, and they're not related to income, such as those which are governed by progressive realization, such as social rights, education rights, economic rights. These are general rights, and they should be there from the day that the country implements it. So they include things like accessibility, making reasonable accommodations, protection from harassment and bullying and attacks, and access to law to get reasonable justice where discrimination exists based on disability. We have been working all year with our Disability Inclusion Action Plan to get as many countries to support it, and we made some progress there with various high commissioners and ministers supporting it, and it got as far as the leaders meeting, CHOGM, in Samoa, Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, where in their communique, paragraph 6, they thanked us for the work we've done and asked us to continue. They're setting up a high-level advisory group, which we hope to be part of. And we are working with other partners, such as the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, to gather information, which will be done through our regional interns who are now in place, to gather information from our member organizations in our 48 full member country offices, and then 55 associates. We want case studies and evidence of where each country has got to on making reasonable accommodations, on justice with regard to disability discrimination, on representation, how representative organizations are supported by government, how much legislation has actually been introduced following the adoption of and ratification of the UN CRPD, and we will be getting in touch with all of you. We would also like examples of case studies being sent in to us so that we can publish these along with what we find out from this data to present to governments before CHOGM 2026, which will be in Antigua, so that there's a better climate for accepting our Disability Inclusion Action Plan. We don't have much time, though it seems like quite a long time. By July of 25, we need to have a draft that's agreed by parties to give to the law ministers who will meet in Fiji in February 26. What else have we been doing? Well, we've been raising the issues at the United Nations during the week of the countries that are signatories, which is all but 3 countries now around the world. And we also held an event in Kenya where our executive met face-to-face, which was the first time for more than 3.5 years. We invited to that, in the second part of it, young disabled people from 7 countries in East and Southern Africa, and they had a 3-day training. And we met with officials from the Kenyan government on a round table. We hope to reproduce this in India in March. We are out asking for people to apply at the moment if they're under 40 and they're disabled young activists from Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Maldives, and the majority from India. We also hope to meet with government officials on the Friday and then go on and do some work in one of the regions. Following on from that, we'll be going to Berlin to the 3rd Global Summit on Disability, and we have already one meeting agreed on neurodiversity, learning difficulty, and we're hoping in another one on the process of building and getting agreement on this Disability Inclusion Action Plan. We also want to hold a fireside chat on how much progress we've made on getting a disability funding for our DPOs from their governments for their representative role, which is in 4.3 and 33.3 of the UN Convention. There's much more to do, and we are setting up in more formal way our Women's Forum and our Commonwealth Disabled Youth Forum, and we will have 4 standing committees running through the year on organising on climate, inclusive education, employment and training, and political representation and law. And we will also be working on developing a sexuality policy across the year, which will include LGBT and disabled people's right to a sex life the same as everybody else, and women's health, which will be related to that. Busy year coming up, and we're grateful to the UK Foreign and Commonwealth Office for the grant that they give us, and which they have now told us will be renewed this coming year. So this enables us to do this work and to build the strength of disabled people's organisations, peoples with disabilities across the Commonwealth. And if you haven't yet joined us, please do. I wish you all a good new year, which is more peaceful and more inclusive than the last. Thank you very much.